Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal. SMCI reported earnings after hours, and SMCI stock is down after that. Let's evaluate how low SMCI can go using latest financials and earnings data. You see the summary of the financials data on your screen for last 7 quarters, including the latest number they just released. That is in column H. I also have column I and column J to compare year over year change and quarter over quarter change. Starting with the revenue went up compared with the last quarter and also compared with the last year same quarter. So that's a good thing. Net income, not a good sign. Quarter over quarter went down, but year over year it went up. But we are more concerned over quarter increase or decrease. Profit margin percentage, gross margin percentage, EBITDA margin percentage, in all three areas, they are not doing good. Their numbers are going down compared with quarter over quarter and year over year. And also the EPS quarter over quarter, the numbers went down 6.65 versus 6.25, but year over year it went up. And also, you probably know that they missed the earnings. The earning expectation was 8.14 and they reported 6.25. That is earning miss of about 23%. We'll talk more about EPS in a bit. Moving on, free cash flow per share. They improved a little bit from last quarter to this quarter, but overall, the numbers are still negative, minus 8.18. Debt to equity ratio, the debt went up from the last quarter versus this quarter. You see 0.37 versus 0.40. That's also not a good sign. Now let's dig into further the EPS. In this table, I put together the summary of the EPS projected, EPS actuals, and the earnings surprise. The latest number, you see that 8.14 projected versus 6.25, about 23% earnings miss. But in previous 4 quarters, they were able to beat the earnings. So for me, it was a big surprise that they missed earnings this time. And one of the reasons probably the expected earnings or the projected earnings was too high compared with the last quarter. We also have the earning projections for next 4 quarters, but these numbers I guess should get revised in next few weeks. Now let's calculate the price projections for SMCI that will give us an idea how low SMCI can go until the next earnings. I updated this table with the adjusted closing price for last 30 days and also the EPS data, EPS forward, EPS trailing 12 months. I also calculated the P ratio with respect to trailing 12 months EPS and also P ratio with respect to forward EPS. We also call it forward P ratio. So this EPS is based on the latest earnings that they reported. And I also updated this table with the forward P and the trailing P with the latest numbers. In here, forward P at this point is 19.41 and trailing P is 28.15. And I also updated this table with the earnings actual and earning projected for last 12 or 13 quarters and also the future earning projections in here. I also updated this minimum average and the maximum earning surprise for last 6 quarters, I guess. And also I updated the minimum, median, average, and the maximum forward PE for last 4 quarters. We're gonna use these data to calculate the price projections for SMCI after earnings. I already did that. So based on my calculation, the minimum price that SMCI can touch before next earnings is 464. It's the same formula I went over with you guys in my previous video over the weekend. That is E4, that is EPS forward. That's this one. And the second factor I have is M31, that is the forward P, the minimum value. And then the third factor you see is M40, and that is this guy, 0, minimum earnings or price. I'm not using any negative value. So just to avoid negative values, I'm using 0. So that gives me the minimum price for 64. Same formula I'm using for the average price projections. So except using the minimum, I'm using the average forward PE and also the average earnings or price. So that gives me the average 705, and similar formula I'm using for the maximum price projection, except the fact I'm using maximum forward P in the second factor and the maximum earnings or price as the third factor. So that gives me the maximum price projections for SMCI 990. So in my opinion, until the next earnings, that is 3 months from now, SMCI should move between these three values. As you see, after hours after SMCI reported the earnings, SMCI at this point is 535, that is 13.26% down. So, based on my understanding, SMCI has more potential to go further down, but it should not go below 464. So, in my understanding, SMCI below 500 would be a very attractive price to keep it for some time, because before the next earnings, in my opinion, SMCI should touch 700 levels as well. One good thing that they mention in the earnings is the revenue guidance. The future revenue guidance is very good for SMCI. Let's take a look. You see that for the next quarter, they are projecting 6 billion to 7 billion versus the forecast was 5.52 billion. And also for the next fiscal year, they are projecting 26 billion to 30 billion compared with the forecast of 23.4 billion. So they got the earning per share hit, but overall demand is very strong as they mentioned. So once they get a good handle on the earnings next quarter, I guess overall future outlook is good for SMCI. And besides that, they also announced the split 10:1. In my opinion, I think this was not a good time to announce the split because in this quarter they missed the earnings. Probably it would have been better if they had announced in the last quarter or probably next quarter. So that's all about my analysis and my assessment on SMCI price projections. I guess that should help you in making the right decision in next few days. I hope you like this video. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you more in the next video. Take care.